Tom never meant to become the kind of man people leaned closer to when he talked, lowering their voices as if the woods themselves might be listening. He was a road man, worked utilities, drove long stretches outside Charlotte fixing things most folks never noticed until they broke. Standing by the road was part of his life, boots on gravel, eyes on tree lines, waiting for the next truck to pass. That was where it began, too, on a humid evening when the cicadas screamed loud enough to drown out thought. He noticed the smell first. Wet earth, rot, and something sharp, like rusted metal left in the rain. Tom had grown up hunting in North Carolina and knew every scent the woods could throw at you, but this one felt wrong, like it didn't belong to any animal he could name. He stepped away from the truck, flashlight dangling from his hand, and that's when the woods across the road went quiet. No insects. No birds. Silence so sudden it pressed against his ears. Across the ditch, something moved. At first he thought it was a bear, but it stood up too fast, too smoothly. 7, maybe 8 feet tall, broad as the hood of his truck, covered in dark, matted hair that caught the dying light. It didn't charge. It didn't roar. It just stood there, staring at him with eyes that reflected yellow, not wild or confused, but alert, measuring. Tom felt his legs lock, the primitive part of his brain screaming at him to run while another part whispered that running would make it worse. The creature took one step closer to the road. Gravel crunched under its weight. Tom raised his flashlight, the beam shaking, and the thing tilted its head like it was curious about the light, about him. Then it made a sound, low, deep, vibrating through Tom's chest more than his ears. Not a growl. Not a howl. Something closer to a warning, controlled and deliberate. Tom backed away slowly, heart hammering so hard he thought it might give him away. When a car finally roared past, headlights flashing through the trees, the creature was gone, leaving behind nothing but broken brush and that awful smell hanging in the air. Tom told no one at first. He went back to work the next day, then the next, but the woods along those roads felt different now, like he'd crossed some invisible line. Weeks later, it happened again, same stretch of road, different night. This time, he wasn't alone. His coworker was in the cab when something heavy slammed into the side of the truck hard enough to rock it. They jumped out, yelling, thinking someone had thrown a log. What they saw instead was a massive shape retreating into the trees on 2 legs, moving faster than any man had a right to. His coworker quit 2 days later. Tom stayed. After that, the encounters followed him. Footprints appearing in soft mud near job sites, long, wide, with a stride that made no sense. Rocks stacked near the road where no one had been earlier. Once, while standing by the road at dawn, he saw one watching him from behind a pine, only its face visible. The eyes were different that time. Calm. Almost familiar. It didn't frighten him the way the first one had. It felt like being acknowledged. Years passed, and Tom's stories grew, not wilder but clearer. He learned their patterns, the way they stayed just beyond the edge of human noise, the way they seemed to guard certain stretches of forest near Charlotte like borders. He believed there was more than one. A small family, maybe, passing through old corridors the city hadn't completely swallowed yet. He started carrying apples in his truck, leaving them near the tree line. Sometimes they were gone by morning. Sometimes they weren't. Once, he found a pile of pine cones neatly arranged where the apples had been, like a reply. The closest encounter came on a foggy night when the road disappeared into white nothingness. Tom's truck stalled, and for the first time since that first night, fear crept back in. He stood by the road, flashlight useless in the fog, when heavy footsteps approached. He didn't turn. He didn't run. He just spoke, voice shaking, telling whatever was there that he meant no harm. The footsteps stopped behind him. A presence loomed so close he could feel warmth radiating off it, smell the damp hair and forest clinging to its skin. Then, softly, something brushed his shoulder, not a grab, not a strike, but a touch. Gentle. Reassuring. The footsteps retreated, fading into the fog, and moments later the truck started like nothing had ever been wrong. Tom drove home in silence, hands steady on the wheel, knowing without doubt that what he'd encountered wasn't a monster or a myth, but a neighbor of sorts, older than the roads he stood beside. Now, when Tom tells his stories, he doesn't try to convince anyone. He just describes what he saw, what he felt, and how the woods near Charlotte still watch those roads. He says if you stand by the road long enough, really listen, you might feel it too, the sense that you're not alone, and never were.